FBA. Now this video is yours, right? It's for you. I saw these videos and I actually like them. I don't know if you had relationships with your grandmothers. If you don't have or you had, these ones will inspire you. And some other stuffs about Black Americans that I think will be good for you. Just watch them and tell me the one you resonate with or the one you actually like or the one you're going to, throw away. You're free to actually say that in the comment as well.
Before I'm about to get in the shower, I just want to say this because I know there's a lot of stuff going on, but this is for Black Americans. Yeah, just Black Americans. Yeah, we love all y'all. All y'all. Every last one of you. We love all y'all. But Black Americans. Go lay down.
If you really want to understand me, like how I move, why I speak the way that I do, why I'm able to stand so firm in what I know, you gotta meet Miss May. That's my grandma, my dad's mom. And she is, without question, one of the most powerful, impactful women that I've ever had the pleasure to know. She didn't raise me full time, but she raised something in me, something permanent, in the summers that I used to spend with her. She was born in 1929 in Charleston. One second. Okay. She was born in 1929. This will be so hard. She was born in 1929 in She was born in 1929 in Charleston, South Carolina. That means that she grew up during Jim Crow. I had to take a break. She was born in 1929 in Charleston, South Carolina. That means that she grew up under Jim Crow in a city that profited off slavery and just never wanted to let it go. Charleston wasn't soft. There were rules. Black people couldn't look at white people in the eye, couldn't try on clothes in a store, couldn't question authority without risking their lives. And for Black girls, there was a limit on how far you were allowed to go. Not just socially, institutionally. Most Black children in Charleston weren't educated past the 8th grade. That's just how it was. You got just enough to clean somebody else's house, raise someone else's kids, and to know your place. But my grandma didn't stay in a place that someone else made for her. She made her own. She soaked... Okay, come on, Ashley. This isn't what grandma would want. But my grandma didn't stay in a place that someone else made for her. She made her own, soaked up knowledge however she could. Books, conversations, experience. She was sharp, She was sharp. She was strategic. She was grounded. The kind of woman that could make a grown man feel like a child with just one look and still make you feel safe in the same breath. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't have to. At least, not to me. There was a weight to her silence, a dignity to her presence. And when I tell you that I am so proud, and when I tell you that I'm so proud that she's my grandma, I mean that. In my soul. Her blood runs through my body, and I treat that like a responsibility. Because she didn't get to be loud. She didn't get to be seen. So now I carry her with me every single time I open my mouth to tell the truth. Y'all see these videos, this research, the fire that I put into what I have to say. That's Miss May. That's her. It's her hands, her wisdom, her quiet power working through me. She didn't just survive Charleston. She survived an entire system that tried to erase women like her, and still showed up with kindness, intelligence, and no time for foolishness. That's the kind of legacy that I come from, and I couldn't be more thankful that she's my grandma.
There was a Nigerian that made a post, and I really tried to let it go. I had made a response and then I deleted it because I said, you know what, if they want to be ignorant, let them. And then I recorded this video like 3 times and deleted it because I said, you know what, forget it. It's not your problem, but I just cannot let it go. Something in my spirit will not let me let it go. The Nigerian post, I don't know the guy's name. That's why I'm saying Nigerian, by the way. I know he's more than his race. I literally don't know his fucking name, okay? If he had said the Black Americans post, I wouldn't give a damn because I love being Black. That being said, the Nigerian's post said something like, Americans are far removed from violence. And when he says violence, he doesn't mean, because that's a wild thing to hear. Off the ear, you're like, get this nigga out of here. But no, what he means is the civility of it, right? The savagery of violence that third world countries experience, he's saying that Americans are far removed from that, right? We haven't experienced that since the beginning. Like he mentions that the beginning of America started with savage violence, but that we are far removed from that, right? So then a comment says, hey, you know, there's a difference between Black America and white America, right? Right? We see where this is going. And he says, no, I know, but like we've seen some horrific things, like levels of violence go on in third world countries. There are things worse than death. And now Americans are about to find out. Now, here's my thing. I have tried to let this go for so long, but I can't. The disrespect, the dismissal of foundational Black Americans have to stop, because what you are saying, basically, let me sum this up, is that since chattel slavery has ended, Americans as a whole, Black, white, and other, have not experienced savage violence. This is what I will say to you, right? When slavery first ended, I want you to know that for many years, and let me just stick a pin in this. I think this conversation is going to go differently depending on who you're talking to. You will have Black Americans who will say, oh, I'm a Black American and I agree. And then I go to their profile and they're from fucking New York. They're from California. They're from fucking Wisconsin, Idaho somewhere, making fucking potatoes and churning cheese. I'm from Alabama. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm from Alabama. We're neighboring Mississippi. So this conversation going to go a completely different way from us. Right next door to Georgia. Do you get me? Do you understand me? So I want to say this. First off, when slavery initially ended, for many years, and I'm not talking 1 or 2, for many years, they still had slaves, right? Because mind you, it was illegal for slaves to read. They didn't teach us how to read anything but the Bible. They taught us the Bible. We could not read official documents. There was no newspaper, no amendments that we could fucking read, because we weren't people. We were property. But they did teach us that Bible, though. So when slavery was made illegal, outlawed, we didn't even fucking know. We couldn't read that shit nowhere. We didn't know that shit. So they kept us for many years on working, slaving, same abuse, same treatment. And so they were forced. Their hand was forced. Motherfuckers came down like, come on now. Now, Big Johnny, you know. All right, they let us go. Now I want you to think about this time period before we get to Jim Crow. The time period where they had to go from viewing us as tools, basically, from viewing us as fucking tools, no more than a wheelbarrow or a shovel, to humans. How do you think that treatment was? After chattel slavery, how do you think that treatment was? You think we were met with civil violence? That's what you think? No. The treatment was so bad, in fact, that the solution was Jim Crow. I want you to sit with this, right? The treatment was so bad after slavery, after the profits began tanking because they didn't have free labor. The treatment was so bad that the solution was Jim Crow. Now let's get into Jim Crow. Because for people who are not Americans, Black Americans, you guys Google Jim Crow, the phrase in y'all's head for Jim Crow, and they did very good marketing this, because almost everybody outside of America thinks this. You guys think it was a Mean Girls movie, where it was just, you can't sit with us. Y'all think that shit was just separate but equal, because that's what they promoted it as. And they've done a very good job making non-Americans still believe that's what it was. Y'all think that it was just us going to a restaurant and them saying, this is an all-whites party, then you get the memo. That's not what that shit was. That's not what that shit was. We wasn't just fighting to eat at the restaurant and drink the water. Do you know what the fuck was going on during Jim Crow? Because we already got into the treatment post-slavery, pre-Jim Crow, with the solution being Jim Crow. So Jim Crow was not just separate but equal, right? First off, none of the amenities were equal in any way. But let's stick a pin in that, because that's not what I want to get on. I want to get on the savage violence, the savagery of the violence. We had houses when they weren't burning them down. And we had families when they weren't running into houses, doing things to the women and children that are worse than death in front of the Father. Right? We had young boys walking around until they deemed you to be inferior for whatever reason. Maybe you looked at them a certain way. You didn't cross the street fast enough. So they didn't just hang you from a tree. No, when you go to those pictures that they purposely made black and white to make you think that it was like 100-something years ago, baby, check the date on those pictures and come back to me. Study those pictures. It's not just black people swinging from trees. Look closely at the photo. You will see body parts missing. You will see pieces of flesh burned, flayed. Yeah, because before that young person took their last breath, they faced treatments worse than death. Worse than death. During Jim Crow, do you understand how bad you have to be treated to participate in the civil rights movement? You think niggas was going through that just so they could eat at bland-ass restaurants and drink from the same water fountain? That's what you think this was about? That's what you think civil rights was about? They was protesting so that we weren't still treated as fucking property. Yeah? Do you understand how bad you have to be treated to say, we finna go march with them? I'm finna bring my kids. Yeah. They finna whoop our ass. Yeah, some of us gonna die. But shit, they doing way worse to us already. This ain't no life to live already. We not living. We actually don't have nothing to fucking lose. Do you understand how bad you have to be treated to have participated in those marches, in those organizations where they were killed? Make no mistake. If you're not Black American, you think that civil rights was this peaceful, kumbaya, oh, let's all get along. Oh, it wasn't that shit. That was killing shit. It was a bloody massacre. That shit was a war. The civil rights movement was a actual war within itself. Wasn't shit peaceful about it. They pushed Martin Luther King in that peace shit so that we don't get any more ideas to go back to it. It wasn't shit peaceful about it. On both sides, they was killing shit. And I don't even got enough time to go into how. But they was absolutely killing shit. You hear me? To understand that you are a part of an organization that will likely lead with you losing your life. To understand that me and my kids might not make it back home during this, but they doing way worse to us already. So fuck it. Do you really think that savage violence stopped with chattel slavery? Do you think that? My generation is privileged. My age range. My mom's generation is privileged. My grandparents were born during the Jim Crow era. What type of treatment do you think that generation received? What type of treatment do you think their parents received? We are not as far removed from savage violence as y'all like to think. So if you do not know Black American history, do what the fuck y'all tell us to do every time and pick up a fucking book. Y'all supposed to be so much smarter, right? Pick up a fucking book. My generation is privileged. I have the pleasure of not knowing what it feels like to walk outside, not knowing what it feels like to look a white person in the eye, okay? 2 generations ago, they did not have that. My grandparents, my great-grandparents, my great-great-grandparents, we are not that fucking far removed from savage violence as you think. We're not. 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, do you know what the fuck would have happened if you looked at...
You guys have been asking to hear from my grandmother, who you guys have called the OG content creator, the OG influencer. So we're going to ask her what it was like for her growing up in the United States during segregation. So you're going to hear the first-hand account growing up as a Black American. And you guys have seen all of the footage that she shot during various decades, going to segregated parks, Disney, through all these different years. And so a lot of people, Grandma, had questions to ask you about what you shot, what it was like growing up in segregated America. So we're here to answer all those questions. Grandma, how do you feel about me sharing all this footage that you shot from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and so on and so forth?
I'm elated because I had no idea that you could take what I shot and share it with people on social media. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah,
right?
it is. Social media. So in the 1940s and 50s, was there segregation, and how was it?
Yeah, it was segregation. Yes, totally, because all the schools were segregated. Black children went to black schools, white children went to white schools. But I went to a Catholic school, so therefore I had white nuns for teachers.
What was the term used for Black people during that time?
We were called colored. Even when they had the water fountains, it had colored on one water fountain and white on the other water fountain. On the bathroom doors, colored over on one door and white on the other. That's the way it was.
Grandma, by the time that you graduated high school and you were going to college, tell me about, the choices in going to school. Were you limited in where you could go to school?
Of course, we had black schools to go to.
What was the experience like with buses and restaurants and things like that? Can you kind of explain that to people?
But we had to sit on the back, from the rear to the back of the bus.
So colored people of color, colors, sit in the back.
Colored was to the back.
And then who sat in the front?
White people sat in the front. We paid the same amount of money.
And this was like this from childhood to your adulthood, right? Early adulthood for you. That's how it was.
Yes, that's how it was.
Okay. Now let's talk about restaurants and food places. How was that segregated?
Well, if you would go downtown, go into say Woolworth or Crest, they had a counter for serving food to whites, but we couldn't sit to eat. That we would either had to be served from outside the building to a window, or we would come in, give our order, stand. We had to stand. We couldn't sit.
Grandma, can you share an incident that occurred in the 70s with you and your kids at a park and what you were called?
Yes. We were at this attraction and we were on the sky lift going over to the attraction, and there was opposite of us the sky lift bringing people from there. And as we were passing one another in the air there, uh, we were waving and saying hi. This particular sky lift with white people in it called us the N word, yelled it, and because we were saying hi, everybody, hello.
Wow. So you were, this was, you were in the sky lift. It was you and your kids. And how old were your kids?
They were like, 70, maybe 10 and 8.
Wow. So young kids were called the N word.
Yeah. They and I think my son did say, Mommy, why did they say that? So I had to explain that later. I think the black kids riding the bus, being bussed into white neighborhoods, and it was strange to them, leaving their neighborhood, going in at a young age, kindergartners, first graders, riding the bus early in the morning to get to the white school so we could have integration. And it cost, I think, at a cost for black students to encounter. That was, and the parents having to get up and get them ready, catch the bus. And if they missed the bus, some of the parents couldn't take them to school because they have the transportation to get them to the school, because those schools were really far for some of them.
Yo, y'all ever hear of a woman who literally recorded every single news broadcast for over 30 years nonstop? Like, no cap. Like, she hit record in 1979 and did not stop until the day she died in 2012. Her name was Marion Stokes, and what she did was probably one of the most important things anybody's ever done for the truth. So here's a little backstory. Marion Stokes was a black woman from Philly. She was an activist, a librarian, and a producer, and she saw something that most people missed. She realized that the TV news wasn't just reporting the world, but it was also shaping how we see it. And if nobody was saving the broadcasts, records of what we were told and how it changed would disappear forever. She started recording during the Iran hostage crisis and never stopped. Every network, every day for decades. We're talking over 70,000 VHS tapes, all stacked up in her apartment and other places that she used as storage, like a living time capsule of American media. Now, why did she do this? Well, she did this because she noticed something. The news would say one thing one day and then act like it never happened the next. Narratives would shift, history would get rewritten, and people just forgot. But not Marion. She believed that if we kept the receipts, that we could hold the media and power accountable. And now, in the age of deepfakes, deleted tweets, fake news, and disappearing headlines, what she did matters even more. Right now, her entire collection is being digitized by the Internet Archive. Historians, journalists, even regular people can go back and see what really aired. No spin, no edits. Think about that for a second. One woman with a few VCRs, okay, maybe about 8 reportedly, did more for media accountability than billion-dollar networks ever did. She wasn't chasing fame or money. She was preserving truth. So yeah, Marion Stokes may not be a household name, but she made sure history couldn't lie to us.
One of the most frustrating things that I have noticed since I've been on this app and being able to speak about what I feel and what my perspective on certain things is, I've noticed that I am increasingly growing tired of the Black community. I'm sick of it. I'm tired. It's like I could literally go on and on talking about why this shit is so annoying. I'm tired of the victim mentality. That's number one. And listening to people that are successful and they're black telling you you're oppressed has to be a mental disorder, right? Black people constantly playing victim to situations you create has to be a mental illness. It has to. I've seen videos of black men saying, I walk around with a gun. And it ain't for a white person. It's for another black person. When it comes to black people playing the victim and that we're supposed to be oppressed by the white man because their ancestors enslaved ours, let's speak some facts here. The very first slave owner in the United States to enslave people was a black man. His name was Anthony Johnson. He was black. We have literally been being lied to. And also, black people sold us into slavery as well. Slavery was a business back in the day. But we black people that feel like we're victims, even though we have every opportunity to be successful, is ridiculous to me. I am actively teaching my kids, you could be whatever you want. You just have to put the hard work in. You have to be dedicated. You have to be motivated. In the face of adversity, you still have to keep going. That's what I'm teaching my kids. I'm teaching my kids to be victors. And black people of America, wake the hell up. You've been played. We've been played. And then I fault, like I said, the black politicians and all of the black celebrities that are sitting on major wealth, that are trying to come out every 2.5 years to tell you you're oppressed. Like, these people are full of shit. Like, how are you rich as a black American and then try to say that you're like the black Americans are oppressed and we can't get ahead in life because of the white man? Like, if you guys really open your fucking minds and close your emotions, you would really see how we've been being screwed. But I am breaking that generational curse of feeling like that. My kids will be successful in Jesus' name.
This is to my indigenous, beautiful black Americans, African Americans, anybody that is sitting on the west side of the world, America. I love you bad. I'm glad to be us, and I want to tell you how proud I am of all of you guys. This year has been stressful for all of us, and we have continued for the second millennia to continue to be loving, continue to just be. And I just want you all to know how proud I am of you. Look at what we've done this year. You feel me? Look at what we've done. We are a mighty, powerful collective. We are. And I was thinking of this yesterday, and it just dawned on me. I had to stop what I was doing to just let you guys know. Just a hand clap for y'all. You deserve it. From everything we've been through in this country for centuries, not decades, centuries. You guys and me and our lineage, and for generation after generation, millennia after millennia, y'all have stepped it up and doing what you need to be doing. And I love this for us. I love it for us. I don't care what part of the United States you come from. I'm proud of you. Now, we still got, some work to do. And this is part of life. Ain't nobody gonna be perfect sitting on the right or left side of God who's on this planet. You feel me? We're still working on ourselves. I see the awakening, finally, in the age of fucking Aquarius. Come through. This is the age of reveal, y'all. The age of reveal. Meaning, you see all this shit popping off? They can't stop us, never could, never will. We're too strong for this shit. Too strong. We've done this before. This ain't new. This ain't new to us. If you still have your grandparents or someone elder in your family, continue to talk to them and get these stories. I don't care how they try to whitewash, because we already know. The majority of us black in this continent already knew half of the stories that, they have the new AIs sharing the stories, the people with the AIs, which is beautiful. That's nice because a lot of people don't know. But for us that our parents have talked to us and schooled us on, all kind of stuff during our history. We know. So we need to keep sticking to what we've been doing. I'm so proud of y'all. People are pissed. People are pressed that we've gotten out the way. Thank y'all for this. You might not be at the house all the time. You might be out there, and in them streets. But what I'm seeing mostly, because we still have, violence every, we still got some bad areas and stuff, but the masses are talking. Ancestors is Mother Nature is on our side. You feel me? We have so much backup, it's ridiculous, so we really don't have to do anything. I just want to commend each and every one of you who've decided to sit down, stay out the way, not argue with these people in comments and on the internet and doing videos and all this other stuff. I commend you. It's hard. It's hard. I got stories from generations back that I could really be upset about. Going out here in the public on a daily basis, having to be cordial with people. But you know what? I love people. And they ain't gonna get me out of my character. You're not gonna get me out of my character. Because God didn't create me that way. They didn't create us that way. That's why we're like we are, who we are. That's why you guys gravitate towards everything we do. Because we are that. We are that. And we ain't gotta be, call us ghetto, who cares? You must like it because you're copying it too. With the doing all this and come on now. Y'all wasn't doing that before. Anyway, I just want to praise my people because y'all doing a damn good job in 2025. Ancestor said sit the fuck down, and that's exactly what we're doing. I want y'all to be safe out there. Continue to be the good person that God has created you to be, because this is who we are. You ain't got to take no shit though, because this ain't the 18 to 1900s. It's not. So, give yourself a pat on the back. I love you deep. I love you from my soul. I just want to say, y'all been doing a damn thing this year. Keep having fun. Keep going out. Keep, where them fans at? Keep on doing what you do. Because like I said, we all know, this has been going on since the beginning of time. This ain't nothing new. And if anything happens, guess what? We know how to survive. We know how to survive. So again, I love you with everything in my being. Keep continuing to do what you need to do. If that's sit in the house, go to work, take care of your children, family, make sure your house is blessed. And I wish you nothing but abundance. With milk and honey runneth over, that you won't be able to receive it because God said so. I love you, my black people of America. Bye.
They don't put it in the textbooks, but let me put it out there. This country survived its ugliest chapters because of black grandmothers. Not politicians, not presidents, not even the preachers. It was women who had already buried children, who still found the strength to fight, so yours wouldn't be next. They weren't just caretakers. They were the first line of defense against American terror. In the thick of America's lynching era, from the 1880s to the 1940s, black grandmothers weren't just witnesses. They were the backbone. While white mobs were still stringing up black boys in broad daylight and calling it justice, grandmothers were doing the quiet work, collecting names, testifying to the press, sending letters to the NAACP, and shielding grandchildren from the trauma with nothing but bedtime stories and tight embraces. They weren't activists for clout. They were survivors. Women like Laura Nelson's mother, who tried to speak out after her daughter and grandson were lynched in Oklahoma in 1911. Or Ida B. Wells, who raised her siblings after her parents died, and whose anti-lynching crusade was deeply rooted in a kind of protective grandmother energy. The kind that says nobody's child will die unnoticed on my watch. Black grandmothers were the ones that were writing to black newspapers when nobody else would publish the truth. They were hosting NAACP meetings in their kitchens. They were the moral memory keepers, telling grandbabies who got taken and why, even when the town wanted it forgotten. They wrote letters, sat back in pews, testified in courts. They organized church groups to raise money for funeral costs. They demanded investigations, preserved stories. They did all of this while working as maids, taking care of other people's children, and raising 3 generations under one roof. They were the quiet architects of resistance, the ones who made sure that trauma didn't swallow the entire lineage. The reason some of us even know now what happened in our families then is because a grandmother whispered it when it was dark and safe. The reason our communities didn't fall apart after the horror is because she refused to let it. The reason some names even got documented, the reason some cases ever made it to court, was because a grandmother somewhere refused to let her child become another rumor. They were never passive, they were never weak. They were the firewall between annihilation and survival. So the next time they say that black women are angry or loud or strong, ask them what this country would have done if black grandmothers weren't. Because when this nation looked the other way, it was grandma who stared death in the face and didn't flinch.
Meanwhile, I haven't watched all of those videos. I learned so much. I also learned that slavery didn't start, with the white people. They said the first slave master was a black. I want you to prove it. Do you think it's true? Let me see in the comments. Or could it be one of those posts people make on TikTok and all of that to get views? Let me see that. And there's something again I want to ask you. There's this woman that did a video and she's like, Black Americans. I liked that thing a lot, right? Now, for me, that is African, I don't know anything about it. Truly, I felt angry when I watched that video. When I got to the comment sections, I noticed that Black Americans understood everything she did. Please let me know what that means in the comments. Please, 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 please. Right. And do not always forget to subscribe, like, share this videos to your friends so they can keep knowing all of these things, right? I'll see you later. I'll see you next time. Same place, same channel. See you. Bye.